Hey guys, what's going on? It's the Block Bull right about now, bringing you the latest episode to the channel. Now, today we're going to be discussing two cryptocurrencies. Now, the first cryptocurrency we will be discussing is the ONYX coin, which is XCN. As you can see on the daily, we're down -3%, and this is happening across the board now. It's only in the past sort of 2, 3, 4 hours we have seen a nosedive in the crypto market. It was doing really well up until this point. So yeah, there's some pivotal stuff going on at this moment in time, and volatility is kicking in, especially around these breakout points upon these multi-year structures. Okay, so we'll take a look at the two cryptos at hand. We've got ONYX XCN coin down there, 3% there on the day. On the weekly, we're still up though, so 6.4%. So we're not doing too bad, guys. So if we come over to XCN, it's quite straightforward. Again, we've been covering this coin all the way through the year, and I could have probably picked a better coin to cover just because we have simply been consolidating within this sort of massive sort of bull pennant, if you will. We are still holding above this sort of yellow line, which is crucial, and you can see where this actually came in previously throughout the sort of 23 market here. So this acted as support. Now, support did eventually fail here. Okay, so a lot of retail investors will be looking at this point of an area of interest, and I could imagine a lot of retail traders are probably selling their bag. One, out of frustration. Two, because they've lost patience. And three, just because the historical data has shown that this support eventually loses its sort of power to actually hold up the price action. Okay, so if we just come over to current price action here, we had this fake out here. We had this fake out, this deviation here. But upon that deviation, that is a huge fake out in the markets, all the way down here. Now, within 2 days, this is where literally ONYX XCN coin has rallied up. Within the space of the 2 days, it's rallied all the way up there, over 200%, and it's basically wiped out the majority of this slow bleed. Now, this slow bleed felt like forever because I was actually in and holding ONYX XCN coin at this point. So it was holding for approximately 66, 67 days before we actually saw our sort of prices recover from these sort of 2025 highs. Okay, again, exactly the same price behavior has occurred with ONYX XCN coin with this sort of slow bleed now. So this is a longer duration. So this has been absolutely nasty, and I'll be surprised if anybody's even holding XCN at this point. I'm still surprised that so many people, this video will probably get a couple of thousand views, to be fair. If the previous videos are anything to go by over the last couple of weeks. But certainly we are heading into the apex now, and we're still holding that support. So I don't think ONYX XCN coin is actually going to go much lower than this. I do believe this support line is going to remain intact. Yes, we may get a little flash sort of fake out to the downside, but in my view, it'd only be a case of accumulating if you have got sort of orders in and around this sort of region here. So anywhere below here, above this sort of recent price action throughout the month of sort of September, I'd have some buy orders just in case. That may get filled. But certainly I would expect us to create higher lows, and that would then make for sort of bullish structure. And then obviously we can start getting above this sort of resistance line. Now, the main thing is I would be inclined. I think what's going to happen here, ONYX coins, I'd consider ONYX XCN coin now a mid cap. Okay, it's no longer like the small cap it was before sort of US elections. We've rallied up considerably despite the sort of slow price action. With that being said, I do believe we do have another sort of Fed meeting where we are expected to lower interest rates as well. So I don't want to set expectations of us making any sort of headwind now. I'll treat that as a bonus. If we get an early breakout, that is fantastic. We'd be looking at sort of reclaiming sort of 2 cent up at these sort of local highs, which we posted in July of this year, which is approximately 75% gains from current price action. So that would be nice, But yeah, certainly 28th of October, over the 28th and the 29th of October is when we get the Fed meeting. So it's looking like, just based on the macro TA, that's what I would expect for ONYX XCN coin. Now, I'm going to go through to SWIFT coin as well, which I've mentioned, which is highly correlated with that digital asset. Now, I've just been plotting this and sharing it with the Discord members. So if you guys want to be involved with all the Discord chat, obviously we've got the crypto AI in there to help us with the sort of technical analysis as well. We cover all kinds of TA. You can be completely new to investing and in trading. So if you're unsure with technical analysis, you can learn a lot off some of the guys in here. Again, if you just come over to my X, we do have that official link to join the Discord. We do have 3-day free trial going there as well. So just click the link, follow that through, and it's fairly self-explanatory. Now, getting back across to SWFT. The reason why I like SWFT is because the risk to reward right now is absolutely insane. Now you can see here this sort of inception of this sort of new structural play. This is a multi-year structural play right here. Now if I drag it out so you guys can see it, this is coming in here where I've drawn this yellow line here. So we're going through to December, so January of 23. January of 23 is when this sort of megaphone structure began to occur. Okay, so we got the support line coming in here, and it's capturing these sort of prices beautifully before we send and we lift off there. Again, US election highs posted at the beginning of sort of February, exactly the same point of time in which ONYX XCN sort of topped out. I think ONYX XCN coin topped out a couple of days earlier, so these coins are literally within a couple of days. Okay, now just because ONYX XCN coin topped out a couple of days before SWFT coin doesn't mean SWFT coin can't sort of reverse that roll and top out or begin moving a couple of days before ONYX XCN coin. Okay, now the reason why I like SWFT coin, and you know what, I'm kind of edging and sort of swaying towards SWFT coin actually over XCN. I think the split I'm going to do, you guys can decide what split you want to do between the two coins. Like I said, they're very highly correlated. So it's like choosing between XRP and XLM. You know they move in tandem, and you're just diversifying between those two sort of cryptos. Just to diversify, and two, to catch an early move. So if one moves before the other, even if it's just a day or even a couple of hours, you still have that little window of opportunity to rotate that, the small percentage gains into the other coin. So that's the sort of idea that we're going with. Now you can see here structurally, like I say, we've been structurally holding this now for at least a couple of years. Way over 2 years, and it's been respected. And this is exactly where SWFT coin is trading here. I'm just going to delete that out of the way. So I've actually highlighted it with this sort of white bubble here. Okay, let's just move some of this TA out of the way, and I'll scroll in for you guys. Okay, so one, it's actually capturing on the support on the blue line, and we're sort of being compressed into this blue support line here. So this is pivotal now. So I would expect maybe going into next week, we are going to see a breakout of this sort of yellow line. Okay, now for me, the multi-year blue line is a lot stronger than this sort of descending yellow line, because this descending yellow line's only been sort of marking out since the 25 highs from sort of February of this year. So I do believe this is going to break. Okay, once we get that break of price action at this point here, then I do believe SWFT coin is going to run up. Okay, and what I've done is, again, these prices can move in any kind of fashion. I don't know which chart pattern is going to take form. I don't know how it's going to get there. I don't know what the journey looks like. But what I would be saying is that SWFT coin is likely to start bouncing now off this blue trend line up to the top of this structure here. And this top of this structure I've got coming out in sort of January time of next year, which is coming up around sort of 21 cent. 21, 22 cents, somewhere along those lines. So around sort of 20, 21 cent, I would be taking profits. Okay. And funnily enough, that's where all-time highs sit for ONYX XCN coin as well. ONYX XCN highs are up at 19.5 cents. Okay. So they're going to do similar gains, but right now, SWFT coin is slightly better value in my opinion, because they're actually trading below a cent. Where if we actually get to XCN here, we're currently trading above 1 cent. We're nearly trading at 1 cent one. Okay, so for me, SWFT coin is probably the better of the two in terms of value. And what I would also like to point out as well, guys, thank you for staying and watching this video. I'm going to show you the US election prices as well. So, for example, current price action is down here for SWFT coin. These are post-US election highs. Now, straight away, we can see SWFT coin's doing approximately 460% return just to return to those US election highs. If we go back to XCN coin, once we load up, let me have a cup of tea. Let's have a look. So this is current price action here. And again, these are sort of January, February highs. And if we just mark out here, we'll just see the difference. So yeah, 460% in comparison to XCN, 220%. So it's almost like you're doubling. You're basically doubling your gains on XCN. Again, just because Swiftcoin is doubling sort of the returns on investment in comparison to XCN to post-US election highs, that doesn't mean I'm going to go all in on Swiftcoin. I'm probably... I've been in XCNs. I'm almost loyal at this point, and I said I'll never be loyal to it. But I think the split between the two coins is going to be somewhere around 60% mark. So I'll probably do 60% split to XCN coin, and then the remaining 40% in Swift coin. Now, depending on which one moves first, obviously I would be looking at rotating profits. Hopefully, Swift coin does get moving sooner. Yeah, hopefully Swift coin gets moving next week, and then we can ride that up. And then what we could do is rotate back into XCN if this is going to play out up until the next Fed meeting around the 28th, 29th of October. So that would be the idea. Okay. Now, if I just return back to Swiftcoin as well, what I've done here is this is a fractal taken here. So what happens with these algorithms is these fractal patterns, they tend to repeat on a sort of smaller, say, for example, like a 15-minute time frame, 4 hour. These patterns you will see inside these sort of smaller chart patterns. If I went to the daily over to the 15-minute, which I'm not going to do because it becomes a little bit, minuscule in terms of, you're basically splitting hairs. I don't like to work off lower time frames if I can help it. And I am in this crypto market for the long run as well. I don't want 5-10% gains. I'm looking for these mammoth 460% gains. I'm here for the 10, 20, 30, 40 X's. Do you know what I'm saying? However, getting back to it, this fractal here, I've just used this fractal. Now, the standout price action for me would be obviously this high. Obviously, we usually get caught at highs and usually see a fake out. So we'll take a liquidity grab up here. And this fractal works beautifully with that. Okay, so something along these sort of lines. Again, these fractals don't account for wicks. So what I would expect is for Swiftcoin to eventually begin making a run up, getting up to this sort of price level here around sort of 4 cent. And that will start interacting or at least challenging this 2025 highs. Okay, we might see a retracement, and that's typically what we do as well. If we are retracing, it's usually 50 to 60% of the move. So this move right here, you'd expect a retracement. This is if the fractal is going to play out. And lo and behold, if we do take out that 25 high up here, we do see a 50-60% retracement, which is why it's coming down to that sort of 50% line there on this sort of measured move. Okay, so that's what I'd be looking at doing, guys. I'll be looking at running it up to approximately sort of 4 cent on Swiftcoin, and I'd probably wait for a retracement. I'll get back in around sort of 2 cent, and I've essentially doubled my bag just by exiting my position at 4 cent, waiting for it to roll over. I basically doubled my crypto at that point. So if I can get this sort of gain here, say a 400% return from current price action, that's a 5x on your capital. Say, for example, we got 10K now. Got 10K in Swiftcoin. We ride it up 400%, that's a 5x. So you end up with 50K. You exit your position. And then ultimately, you are getting double your crypto. So ultimately, you've got 100 grand's worth of the same crypto. So you got 100 grand down here. This is where it gets absolutely daft. 100 grand down here. And if you was to ride it up there to the yellow line, that's a 13x. So that's 13x. So that's about 1.3 million off 10K. 10K invested down here. Now, it don't have to be 10K. It could be just 1K. You'd end up with 130K, whether it's pounds or dollars. Do you know what I mean? This is all hypothetical, guys. This is a YouTube channel. It is for entertainment and education purposes only. But if you've enjoyed the channel and you've enjoyed the video today, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe, and I shall see you guys in the next video. The Block Bull is over and out.